This book is called Class Reunion, a Paranormal Tale. It was written by G.M.Hague and narrated by the author, myself, G.M.Hague. A quick note for listeners. I'm an Australian author, and my novels, unless it's otherwise really obvious, are by default set in Australia and populated by Australian characters. I'll also point out that I'm fortunate enough to live in the southwest countryside of Western Australia, along with my beautiful wife Lisa, 2 Great Danes, 2 donkeys, and a tremendous amount of wildlife that has absolutely no regard for anyone trying to record an audiobook in my studio. Despite my very best efforts to avoid it, you still may occasionally hear very faint bird noises in the background. I've tried recording at night, but then you just get the frogs. These noises are almost inaudible and don't impact on the quality of the recording, but using some listening devices, you may just hear 1 or 2. Author's Introduction. Once again, since it's become popular with readers and especially with the audiobook versions, I'll briefly explain the idea behind Class Reunion and what inspired the story. Don't worry, as always, there are no spoilers here. And for what it's worth, this book came about from a rather straightforward and ordinary source. I was approached through my website and asked if I'd be interested in attending a class reunion. I know a lot of people are into these kinds of things. My wife has kept in touch with some of her high school friends for decades. But while I'm honoured to have many lifelong friends, none of them come from my school days, which involved a lot of moving around the country and not really staying in one place for very long. This particular class was during what we call in Australia primary school, meaning I was all of about 10 years old, and it was over 40 years ago. It seemed a little odd to attend an event where the only thing we had in common was a classroom over 4 decades earlier. Otherwise, we'd all be complete strangers. I politely declined the invitation. But it did get me thinking about class reunions and the potential stories for a writer like me. A horror writer, right? So it occurred to me, what if you found yourself at one of these reunions and having perhaps a slightly strange or uncomfortable conversation with one of the other guests, only to be told sometime later that the person you spoke to was dead, and had been dead for several years? Why would a ghost come to a class reunion? Would it be angry? Maybe sad? Would it be dangerous? Would it be frightening? The ghost in my class reunion certainly has an axe to grind with his former classmates. They've got every reason to be frightened. Chapter 1. The sound of the spade biting into the soil was a crisp, sharp noise, over and over again as the grave was slowly taking shape. Perhaps the clear night air gave everything more clarity. Maybe the silence of the plantation, far from any city rumble, better revealed the rasp of metal against dirt. Here, deep amongst the mature pine trees where the sun hardly penetrated, the ground was always moist and never baked hard by summer, and it was protected by a thick carpet of pine needles. The blade of the shovel cut deep each time, removing a hefty lump of earth. Something to be grateful for when you're burying a body. Likewise, the moon made a scant impression through the forest canopy and offered little light. A tiny torch, the kind used on key rings to illuminate your front door, was hanging on a stray sapling and could only create a faint patch of white. It was enough, however, to give the corpse's face a pale, sickly glow. The digging went on, an effort that required a grim focus despite the soft surface, and a determination not to quit early, to do the job properly. Unseen, something flitted between the nearby trees, moving closer, watching. A wraith-like figure, little more than a wisp of smoke, yet with purpose. A feeling of unease came with it, a sense that something had been disturbed, and wanted to express its outrage, to voice its discontent. The digger laboured on unaware, the spade rising and falling, the hole getting bigger. The corpse might not be in any hurry for anything in life now, but the night
Sample complete. Ready to continue?